A Japanese urban legend that turned into an idol to spit water on her fans? Prepare yourselves for a weird episode of Otaku Files. We're going to talk about 14th Generation Toilet Hanako-san. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files. As you can tell from some of the unique individuals I have covered on my channel, Japan isn't short on idols that utilize a certain theme to help them stand out or center their brand on a particular niche. Some themes or gimmicks are fairly simple to understand, even for those not familiar with Japanese culture. Then you come across the name 14th Generation Toilet Hanako-san and go, what? 14th Generation Toilet Hanako-san is a solo Japanese underground idol, and that is actually her official English name. In Japanese, it's 14代目 Toire no Hanako-san, which is closely translated as 14th Generation Hanako-san of the toilet. So no, she isn't a 14th Generation toilet. Now, when you hear Hanako speak in interviews, she seems rather timid and shy, despite her ghastly appearance. But go to one of her concerts and you'll see a different side of her, a very different side. Yes, Hanako's music is more on the aggressive side of things, to say the least. And not only that, her concerts are also noted to be quite surprising too. Before we get into that though, let's first talk about what Hanako actually is. And in order to do that, we need to talk about the Japanese urban legend Toire no Hanako, or Hanako of the toilet. Toire no Hanako is a yurei, aka ghost, who haunts the girls' toilet of elementary schools in Japan. There are slight variations depending on the prefecture, but generally you can summon Hanako by going to the girls' bathroom on the 3rd floor of the school. There you need to knock on the door of the first cubicle 3 times and then say, Hanako-san irashaimasuka ka? Or Hanako-san, are you there? Then from the 3rd cubicle in a low voice you would hear, Hai. If you open that door, a bobbed-haired girl wearing a red skirt will pull you into the toilet, possibly taking you to hell. Toire no Hanako's exact origin is a bit of a mystery, but it's said she first started appearing around the end of the 1940s. One thing that is common about all the theories regarding Hanako's backstory is that they all involve Hanako dying in some tragic way, in the 3rd cubicle of the girls' bathroom that is on the 3rd floor of the school. For example, one theory states that she was a girl who was violently abused by her father until one day she ended up sustaining an injury so bad it resulted in her death. Another theory is that she was a student being chased by a maniac. She tried hiding in the toilet but was found in a 3rd cubicle and killed. There was also some that say she was a victim caught up in a bombing raid during World War II while she was playing hide and seek in the bathroom. I have even read that Toire no Hanako was based on a real tragedy that happened in the 1930s, where a girl named Ikuko along with her younger brother and sister ended up being killed by their mother, who had lost her mind due to her husband playing around with different girls every night and deciding to commit a family suicide. Interestingly though, the rumor of Toire no Hanako is said to have become popularized during the 1980s. In the 90s, the theme of spooky school stories became commonly used within various media, such as movies and manga, and as such, Toire no Hanako would often appear as a character. However, during that time, sometimes Toire no Hanako was portrayed as being on the side of good, and as a result, nowadays she is more often depicted as being a savior of children. Regardless in what way she shows up in media, the urban legend of Toire no Hanako is well established within Japan, so pretty much everyone here at the very least has heard of her. And now with that context, we can talk about 14代目 Toire no Hanako-san. As stated on her website, Hanako is an elementary school student that's in the 4th cubicle of the 4th floor girls' toilet at 4:44 and 44 seconds, that's AM by the way, took her own life and became a yokai. As you can tell, our Hanako is all about 4s. Just as an FYI, yokai is a rather broad term for a strange phenomenon explained only by a supernatural entity. Generally speaking, ghosts, demons, shapeshifters, etc. can all fall under yokai. Of course, being a yokai, it was a bit hard finding information on Hanako, especially as when she originally appeared back in 2013, she didn't actually speak, instead writing on a small board in order to communicate, keeping in line with her character. Also, she was banned from X for some reason, having her account locked. I suspect it was because she was replying to fans with things like "I'll kill you," which apparently was a common thing she did, and her fans loved it. supposedly. Anyway, nowadays, she doesn't seem to care as much about the not speaking thing. In 2023, Hanako stated that she was 4,444 years old. Hanako says she decides her age based on her favorite numbers of that year, so the passing of days and months has nothing to do with it. I'm sure many of us wish to have that ability. She says she has decided that in 2024, she will also be 4,444 years old. Oh, and if you were wondering if Hanako was friends with any other supernatural entities, the answer is no. In fact, Hanako has said she wasn't even that interested in yokai in general, except for Kuchisake Onna, another member of the Urban Legends Club. Before choosing to be an idol, Hanako was really into heavy music like punk and rock. When in middle school, she was a huge fan of the visual kei band Dokusatsu Terroristo, who were known for their very controversial lyrics, including playing on words to make them sound sleazy or lyrics that touched upon politics. They broke up in 2011. She doesn't go into details, but it seems Hanako, like many of the other idols I have covered, didn't have the best childhood and listened to bands like Dokusatsu Terroristo as a form of escapism. During her career, she would actually do covers of their songs, but little did she know that Ichiro, the vocalist for Dokusatsu Terroristo, would actually write her a song to do called Takai Shiro, which appears in her album Sekai Toire no Hi, which I will talk about a little later. According to Hanako, if middle school Hanako knew about this, she would have quote-unquote gone bald from excitement. As for why she chose to be an idol, Hanako explains that unlike some people that seem to be forced into being an idol or choose the idol route despite not really caring for it, she actually really wanted to be one, but to also make it her own thing. In that case, going the underground route makes a lot of sense, since it would allow her to have more creative freedom in a lot of ways. Not wanting to get involved in any arguments about genres, Hanako says she just plays aggressive music. Essentially along the lines of death metal and punk, I'd say, but feel free to give your own opinions. Of course, we need to touch upon Hanako's shows, known for being quite, well, insane. She often uses a variety of liquids and other things like flour, noodles, and fermented soybeans known as natto to bathe her audience with. She also doesn't mind getting a bit violent too. As a result, it seems that Hanako has been cautioned by venue staff numerous times and even banned from performing in some places. Apparently during the early years, Hanako was a lot more destructive during shows, doing things like breaking her mic and the set around her. But unfortunately, one of her fans actually got really hurt, so she no longer goes that far. Also, some of you might know that after shows, idols usually offer their fans Polaroids of themselves or one taken together. Hanako also does this, but also offers something a little special: to get choked out by her. Over her 10+ year career, Hanako has released a number of albums, her latest one being the one I mentioned earlier, Sekai Toire no Hi. Sekai Toire no Hi in English would be World Toilet Day. Apparently World Toilet Day is actually a thing, at least in Japan anyway, and it falls on November 19th, which also happens to be Hanako's real birthday. She named the album Sekai Toire no Hi so that everyone would remember that. But there is another album of hers whose title I would definitely not be forgetting anytime soon. Yeah. As you might imagine, Hanako isn't singing about cutesy idol-like things. For example, one of her songs is titled Papa ga naguru no, which in English we can translate to Papa punches me. As I mentioned earlier, there is a theory that Toire no Hanako, which this Hanako is basing her character on, was violently killed by her father, so it could be related to that. Hopefully it's not based on her actual experience. Hanako did mention though that her personality used to be a lot darker, but it wasn't music that helped cheer her up. It was Kamen Rider. Apparently it was Ichiro of Dokusatsu Terroristo that recommended the series to her. Another factor was the pandemic. Being forced to stay home lets her fully enjoy her newfound hobby. Hanako explains that as a very indoors person, she didn't actually find staying at home a bad thing at all. In fact, she says she was really tired from doing so many shows, so to her she basically got a break. As for why she likes Kamen Rider so much, Hanako explains that Kamen Rider won't betray her ideals, unlike real people. She goes on to say that Kamen Rider is her hero and will always protect her. She says that Kamen Rider is the savior of lonely people, and that if you do feel lonely, you should seek him out. Although Hanako mainly plays shows in Japan like at the venue Sangenjaya Heaven's Door, having fans overseas too, recently it seems she has been playing shows in the US as well, so keep your eyes out on her Instagram for tour updates. And if you do have a chance to go see her show, be sure to greet her with Oha Hanako. Oh, and don't go wearing anything expensive. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. 14代目 Toire no Hanako-san is probably the most niche idol I have ever covered on this channel. Honestly, I wish there was a lot more I could say about her, but she really does seem interesting, and I know a lot of people wanted me to cover her, so anyway, if anyone wants to add anything about her, please feel free to do so in the comments below. Always appreciate the support, guys. Thank you again. Take care. Bye.